why you'll never get closure from a narcissist, and why it's time to let go. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Today, I want to dive into an emotionally charged topic: narcissism. Specifically, I want to explore why dealing with a narcissist can feel like an endless spiral of frustration, and why true, satisfying closure remains perpetually out of reach when it comes to these individuals. It's a maddening experience, isn't it? That sense of incompletion, of unresolved emotions, can weigh heavily on us, leaving us trapped in a cycle of hurt and confusion. But here's the question I want you to ponder: how many times have you found yourself going back to a narcissist, hoping for a different outcome? How often have you clung to the hope that, this time, they'll give you the answers, the closure, or the validation you've been craving? It's a cycle so many of us know all too well, and yet, every attempt to resolve things with them only leaves us more disheartened and more lost. The truth is harsh, but it's one we must face. Closure from a narcissist is a myth. It doesn't exist. Narcissists thrive on keeping you off balance. They derive power from your longing, your attempts to fix things, and your desperate hope for resolution. It's not just that they can't give you closure, they won't. To do so would mean relinquishing control, something their ego-driven personalities cannot bear to do. I hope that by the time you finish this video, the futility of seeking closure from a narcissist becomes so glaringly apparent that you stop trying altogether. I know this might sound bleak, even disheartening, but sometimes clarity emerges from acknowledging the painful truth. Instead of focusing your energy on trying to repair an irreparable dynamic, I want to help you redirect that energy toward reclaiming your peace and self-worth. There's a passage in Oliver Burkeman's book that resonates deeply with me. He references a powerful idea: my job is not to get people to lighten the load, it's to make the load so heavy that they simply put it down. This is precisely my intention here. I want to make the emotional burden of staying entangled with a narcissist feel so unbearable that you make the courageous decision to walk away. Because here's the reality: the relief, the freedom, and the healing you seek will never come from them. It can only come from within you. Narcissists are skilled at keeping you tethered to them, dangling the illusion of closure just out of reach. But the truth is, they have no intention of providing it. Why? Because keeping you in that state of emotional limbo feeds their need for control and superiority. Every time you return, hoping for an apology or a heartfelt explanation, you're stepping into the trap they've laid, a trap designed to leave you feeling powerless and confused. So let's break the cycle. Let's stop chasing the impossible. The closure you're searching for doesn't lie in their hands, it lies in your decision to step away and reclaim your life. The weight of this journey may feel heavy now, but I promise you, the moment you put it down will be the moment you finally breathe freely. Reason one: they will never truly see you. Empathy is a miracle. It is one of the rarest and most profound gifts of human connection, a force that has the power to bridge pain and loneliness, transforming it into a sense of belonging. Imagine that moment in Inside Out when Joy tries to cheer up Bing Bong, the imaginary friend, by brushing off his pain and saying, "It's going to be okay," yet her words do nothing because they lack depth, they lack empathy. It is only when sadness approaches, acknowledging Bing Bong's heartbreak with, "That really sucks. That must really hurt," that his pain begins to subside. He feels seen, understood, and in that moment no longer alone. But with a narcissist, that moment will never come. They are incapable of granting you the transformative miracle of empathy. Empathy is the antidote to loneliness. It dissolves isolation and forges connection, creating a community even in the midst of individual suffering. Without it, relationships become barren landscapes, leaving you feeling unseen and unbearably alone. And with a narcissist, that barren loneliness is all you'll ever know. When you try to share your pain with them, the response is always the same: deflection. They will twist the narrative, ensuring the spotlight remains firmly on themselves. You might hear accusations like you're being overly sensitive, or you're making a big deal out of nothing. Worse, they may hijack the conversation entirely, making your pain about their suffering well. You don't know what this has done to me in their world. Your struggles are irrelevant, mere noise against the backdrop of their self-importance. Closure becomes an impossible dream. You can pour out your heart, recount the ways you've been hurt, but you'll never hear the words that heal. If an apology comes at all, it will be hollow and unsatisfying a performance rather than an expression of true remorse. The most agonizing part isn't just the lack of accountability, it's the absence of even the faintest attempt to connect with your experience. For them, it's never about you. It's always about them. Every conversation, every interaction revolves around their needs, their feelings, their narrative. You could stand there, bleeding emotionally, and they would still insist that you're the one holding the knife. The sheer inability to look beyond themselves, to step into someone else's shoes, is not just frustrating, it's devastating. This absence of empathy is the ultimate reason why being in any kind of intimate relationship with a narcissist leaves you feeling so profoundly isolated. Human beings crave connection. We long to be seen, heard, and understood. When empathy is absent, that longing turns into an aching void, a loneliness that seeps into every corner of your soul. Without empathy, there is no bridge, no path to understanding, no space for healing. And so, the wounds fester, unresolved. You will never get closure because they will never truly see you, let alone feel what you feel. In the end, it's not just that they won't acknowledge your pain. It's that they are incapable of even recognizing it. And that is perhaps the deepest wound of all. Reason 2, the power of disengagement taking back control. The illusion of standing up. We often fantasize about the moment we stand up to someone who has wronged us, imagining that telling them how we truly feel will bring us a sense of closure or even justice. We think it will stop them in their tracks, leaving them stunned by our words. Yet, the reality is far less satisfying. More often than not, standing up to such individuals achieves the opposite effect. It feeds the very need that drives them. It gives them what they crave most, our engagement. Why they crave your reaction. People like this thrive on engagement. It's their currency. Their strategy is simple yet effective. They will say or do anything to bait you. They know exactly which buttons to push, the precise words that can cut deep and provoke an emotional response. Their goal is singular: to draw you into their game. But here's the thing, it's not just about the words they use or the actions they take. It's about the energy you give them. What you perceive as standing up for yourself, they perceive as a source of power. Your emotional response, whether it's anger, frustration, or indignation, becomes fuel for their control. As long as they can elicit a reaction from you, they maintain their grip on you. Control disguised as chaos. This dynamic is not just a coincidence, it's a calculated form of control. Think about it: if someone knows they can provoke you with a few sharp words or a demeaning comment, they hold a kind of ownership over your emotions. Each time they succeed in making you shout, retaliate, or even explain yourself, they silently claim victory. I've got you, their actions declare. I own your reaction. It's a toxic cycle, one that masquerades as conflict resolution but is, in fact, a power play. The more energy you pour into standing up to them, the more empowered they feel. And so, what we often think of as resistance becomes submission, breaking the cycle. The antidote to this cycle lies in a deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful concept: do not engage. My dear friend, Dr. Ramani, champions this mantra as a cornerstone of dealing with such individuals. Refusing to engage is not a sign of weakness, it's an act of reclaiming your power. It's a declaration that their control stops with you. When you choose not to react, you deny them the energy they seek. Without your reaction, their power diminishes. The comments they make lose their sting, and their attempts to provoke you fall flat. Like a fire starved of oxygen, their influence over you begins to fade. The principle of starvation. There's an old saying about fevers and colds: feed a cold, starve a fever. Similarly, when dealing with narcissists or toxic individuals, the principle is clear: feed a friend, starve a narcissist. Every time you resist the urge to engage, you starve them of the power they seek to extract from you, taking back your energy. Disengagement is not about ignoring injustice or allowing harmful behavior to continue unchecked. It's about redirecting your energy toward actions that empower you rather than deplete you. It's about recognizing that not every battle is worth fighting, especially when the fight only strengthens your opponent. By choosing to disengage, you reclaim control over your emotions, your energy, and ultimately your life. And in doing so, you take a powerful stand not against them, but for yourself. Reason 3, they will never take accountability. One of the most exasperating aspects of interacting with such individuals lies in their complete inability or unwillingness to take responsibility for their actions. The prospect of hearing them say, "I am truly sorry. That was my fault, and I take full responsibility for it," is, for lack of a better term, a fantasy. No matter how clearly you articulate the wrongs they have committed or the profound impact their actions have had on your life, the chances of genuine accountability remain slim to none. Imagine yourself pointing out, with crystal clarity, the chaos they have caused. Perhaps you meticulously outline every instance where their behavior has disrupted your peace or altered the trajectory of your emotions. You may lay bare the undeniable evidence, black and white in its simplicity, of their wrongdoings. Yet none of this penetrates their reality. Why? Because their reality is one where they are always right, and to admit otherwise would shatter the carefully constructed walls of their self-perception. Their refusal to admit fault is not just a matter of pride, it is intrinsic to how they navigate the world. Their mindset operates outside the bounds of what most people consider normal social and emotional norms. While an average person might feel compelled to apologize and rectify their errors when faced with undeniable evidence, these individuals live by a different set of rules that protect their image at all costs. Even if you manage to extract an apology, it is likely to be hollow, devoid of sincerity, and utterly unsatisfying. Picture the scenario: you have spent countless hours explaining your perspective, pouring out your heart, and refusing to let the issue go. Perhaps you have laid everything bare in the hope that they might finally understand your pain. Eventually, worn down by your persistence, they might throw up their hands in apparent defeat and say something along the lines of, "Fine. I am sorry, okay? Is that what you want to hear? What more do you want from me?" Now, reflect on that moment. Does it bring you any real sense of relief or resolution? Does it feel like the closure you have been seeking? Chances are it does not. Instead, it likely leaves you feeling even more frustrated and empty, as if the apology itself was a transaction rather than a heartfelt acknowledgement of wrongdoing. This is because their words are not born from genuine remorse or understanding. They are uttered merely to end the conversation, to placate you, or to preserve their own sense of self-righteousness. The emotional toll of such interactions cannot be overstated. You may find yourself replaying the events over and over in your mind, searching for ways you could have expressed yourself better or wondering if there was something you missed that could have led to a different outcome. But the truth is, no matter how perfectly you present your case or how much evidence you provide, you cannot force someone to see what they refuse to acknowledge. Their inability to take responsibility is not a reflection of your efforts, it is a reflection of their limitations. This realization can be both liberating and devastating. On the one hand, it frees you from the endless cycle of trying to get through to them. It reminds you that closure does not come from them, it comes from within you. On the other hand, it forces you to confront the painful reality that they will likely never change and that the accountability you crave will remain elusive. The key to moving forward lies in shifting your focus away from them and their shortcomings. Instead of expending your energy on trying to teach them a lesson or waiting for an apology that may never come, Invest that energy in your own healing. Recognize that their refusal to take accountability says more about them than it does about you. Understand that closure is not something they can give you, it is something you create for yourself. This process is far from easy. It requires a level of self-awareness and inner strength that can feel overwhelming in the face of unresolved pain. But it is also an opportunity for growth, for learning to prioritize your own well-being over the need for external validation. By letting go of the expectation that they will ever truly understand or acknowledge the harm they have caused, you take the first step toward reclaiming your power and finding peace. The fourth reason you will never teach them a lesson. It is a natural inclination to believe that justice demands action. You may find yourself thinking, I must stand up to this person. They need to understand the pain they have caused, and someone must teach them a lesson. But the unfortunate truth is that certain individuals, particularly narcissists, operate outside the realm of teachability. Their worldview is not constructed around growth or learning. Instead, it revolves around self-preservation and personal gain. We often project our own values onto others, assuming they share our principles. For instance, when we make a mistake, we reflect on it. If gossiping about someone leads to hurt feelings, we take a moment to introspect, promising ourselves not to repeat that behavior. Why? Because we are individuals who learn from life's lessons. The sting of guilt or regret becomes a catalyst for growth. Narcissists, however, are wired differently. Their very essence rejects the idea of personal improvement through accountability. One of their defining traits is an ingrained incompetence born of an inability to acknowledge fault. They view themselves as perpetually correct, leaving no room for the humility necessary to learn. While you or I strive to evolve, to deepen our understanding of ourselves and others, the narcissist is singularly focused on their immediate gratification, be it admiration, attention, wealth, or status. The concept of self-improvement is irrelevant in their world. So, no matter how much you hope to teach them a lesson, the effort will be in vain. It is not that they cannot see the damage they cause, rather, they choose not to care. Their energy is spent justifying their actions rather than rectifying them. The fifth reason they appear to offer others what they denied you. The end of a relationship with a narcissist often brings an added layer of pain. You might witness them seemingly transforming into the perfect partner for someone new. On social media or through mutual acquaintances, they appear blissfully happy, offering this new person everything they withheld from you. It is a cruel spectacle that can make you question your worth and your past experiences. However, it is essential to remember that appearances are deceiving, especially in the curated world of social media. Just as your relationship with them likely had its public facade, so too does their new one. Their behavior often changes during the pursuit phase, where their charm and generosity take center stage. They know how to captivate and impress, but this phase is temporary. The true narcissist emerges once they feel secure in the new relationship, and the same toxic cycles often repeat. What they show to others is not a reflection of your inadequacies, but rather their pattern. The cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discard is their modus operandi. It is not about you or the new person, it is about their unrelenting need for validation and control. The sixth reason you cannot win. One of the most exhausting truths about dealing with a narcissist is that they always find a way to twist the narrative in their favor. If you attempt to assert yourself or reclaim your power, they adapt, often in ways that are both baffling and infuriating. When in control, narcissists act like tyrants, dictating every aspect of the dynamic. Yet when the power balance shifts, they seamlessly morph into victims. This ability to shapeshift emotionally allows them to weaponize your feelings against you. Your anger can be alchemized into guilt, and your firmness into perceived cruelty. For example, when you set a boundary, they might respond with, "How could you treat me this way after everything I've done for you?" Suddenly, you find yourself questioning whether you were too harsh, despite knowing your actions were justified. This emotional manipulation is a cornerstone of narcissism, allowing them to exploit your compassion and sense of fairness. This pattern becomes especially poignant as narcissists age. Their ability to dominate may wane, but their talent for eliciting pity intensifies. They appear frail, helpless, or misunderstood, drawing others back into their web of control. Winning against such an individual is not about defeating them in a conventional sense, but about refusing to play their game. Victory lies in disengaging from their influence entirely. The seventh reason they will never make sense. Trying to understand a narcissist is akin to measuring sound with a ruler. Their actions, motivations, and thought processes are fundamentally different from yours. Where you operate within a framework of empathy and logic, they exist in a realm driven by self-interest and manipulation. The desire to make sense of their behavior is a natural one. It stems from a need to find closure, to package the chaos into something understandable. But this pursuit is not only futile, it is also draining. Each attempt to decode their actions pulls you further into their orbit, robbing you of the peace you seek. Acceptance is the key to freedom. Accept that their actions may never align with your sense of logic or morality. Accept that closure, as you envision it, will not come from them. Instead, closure is something you must cultivate within yourself by letting go of the need for explanations or apologies. The journey away from a narcissist is one of profound growth. It requires you to rise above the hurt, confusion, and injustice they leave in their wake. This may feel deeply unfair. After all, why should you bear the burden of growth while they continue unscathed? But this growth is not for them, it is for you. To truly move forward, you must reclaim your energy and focus. The closure you seek will not come from their acknowledgement of wrongdoing, but from your ability to disengage, create distance physically, emotionally, and mentally. Limit interactions to the bare minimum, if any are necessary at all. In some cases, complete separation may be impossible, such as with family members. Even then, you can establish firm boundaries that protect your peace. Engage on your terms, not theirs, and refuse to be drawn into their manipulative games. Above all, remember this peace is closure. By walking away from their chaos, you create space for harmony in your life. This act of self-preservation is not selfish but essential. It allows you to rediscover your strength and build a life untainted by their toxic influence. In the end, the greatest lesson is this: you hold the power to write your own story. Let it be one of resilience, growth, and